Hello, dear sinceres. So today we're going to talk about a new moon in Gemini. So this is going to happen in UK time at 11:30, and as you know, new moon is time for new intentions, planting new seeds, new energies. Is when we can begin new projects. Maybe not on a specific new moon day, but maybe a few days after. And is also like a feeling of fresh air that we get, and is coming with things that we can do, like that we want to start planting new seeds, feeling a new inspiration, a sense of readiness to what's going to come next. A new moon in Gemini talks about communication, thinking, making connections between people, ideas, thoughts. It's about sharing information, our small networks. It's a bit like telecommunications or transport, like transport lines. And you can have that in a community, on a city, on a country. And it also talks about our kind of analytical thinking, seeing things with different perspectives. If we think about it, Gemini is the sign that starts the process of connection with the zodiac, starts connecting people, connecting things, connecting ideas, because it's very much about language. It's very much about the ruler Mercury. Is about language, it's about communication, and it's the third sign of the zodiac. So if we follow the zodiacal kind of growing up, um, even though not quite exactly this way, but Gemini would represent that time when the baby starts talking, that it starts communicating, and starts forming ideas and putting all the concepts together. Aries and Taurus are very much like our own little world, but the Gemini, in Gemini, we're going to start expanding and expanding towards others, towards those close to us, like siblings, for example, our neighbors, our small community, our small little pockets of people that are close to us. And yes, when we start talking about the first words and expressing our thoughts. And so this new moon in Gemini is, there's not going to be that many aspects if we look at the chart, and it's going to be happening in the Gemini decan, and so it's 2 times Gemini, and it's only making an aspect which is square to Juno. And if we think about Juno being an asteroid of marriage and couples, uh, and there's a square there, so um, if we think of Gemini as well as a man and a woman, because usually it's not really about twins, it's really originally was represented as the tarot card of lovers. I'm just So with this new moon in Gemini, there are not many aspects happening, and it's gonna be happening in a Gemini decan, and like if we can consider maybe the most important aspect here could be the one with Juno, which is an asteroid, and it's usually associated with marriage, with couples. And if you look at Gemini, Gemini is actually represented by a man and a woman, and they are actually not twins, but actually lovers. In the tarot card, Gemini is represented by the tarot card of the lovers, and so we have the two lovers, kind of being lovers and having this kind of romance. And originally, Gemini was more about the lovers, more than necessarily twins. So with the square in Juno, we may be talking about maybe difficulties in the communication among couples, difficulty making things very clear and defined for themselves. So this is very important that people really make things clear, so there's no space for projections or creating ideas that weren't there, because Juno is in Pisces. And in the chart, we have also the Mercury, the ruler of Gemini, in retrograde, which is going to be leaving the retrograde motion soon, but it's still in retrograde, and it's in Taurus as well. So we have the Mercury in retrograde in Taurus, which can also influence a mode of thinking that is very grounded and not as fast thinking as the Gemini sign, but a little bit more slow and firm and determined, and also can be a little bit stubborn, because Taurus, once they make up their mind. And so with the retrograde motion, it might be telling us that we might change our mind later when it turns direct. So the decisions we are making now, we may kind of decide, okay, I wasn't so sure about my decisions when Mercury was retrograde, and now maybe I need to rethink. It may be also that it might also be added by discussions, communication types discussions, because of Juno is squaring this new moon. So couples, you may see couples having some arguments and discussions where every person is going to decide on their point of view and is not going to be so flexible in taking the other person's perspective, especially because Taurus doesn't usually is so flexible to take another person's perspective, so might insist that they want what they want. But on the positive side, it can make us very perseverant, like we have focus. We are focused on what we want to do, where we want to go. We are not so easily deterred from our goals. Can make us very determined to get where we want to go, and think in very concrete, practical ways of achieving our goals and our ideas, and taking steps towards where we want to go and what we want to achieve. Pluto is also making a square to Saturn and a sextile to Neptune and a trine to Pluto. So Mercury is quite aspected here, and with the square to Saturn, it can give a little bit of a pessimism, but then there's Neptune, which can connect us to a higher sphere of thought and perspective, but also Pluto, which helps us transform our thinking. So we're going to have kind of our communication might be very varied, very colorful, with even our thinking, our thought patterns might be more like varied, more diverse. We can have a little bit of pessimistic times, but then kind of alluding to a higher source, and then feeling this kind of wave of transformation that we might want to use about our thinking, and maybe transform our thinking into more positive thinking instead of letting ourselves be influenced by the kind of more pessimistic side of Saturn. Mercury is also conjuncting the malefic star Algol at 26 degrees of Taurus. And this star usually is not a great star because it kind of can bring us some negative influences. So if you find yourself feeling quite depressive or a bit low around this time, or even having some kind of a negativity going on in your thinking, just try to do some kind of meditation, or try to do something that can shift your mind to something more positive or higher. I don't think the star will influence so much in terms of Mercury, but you never know. And then we're gonna have Jupiter Mars conjunction in Aries, which on one hand can give us a very, very fiery determination to go where we want to go, to achieve our goals, to taking bold action, and into fighting for what we believe in, for our principles, for what we think is right, for justice, for the things that we want to be advocate about. But it also can make us a little bit more aggressive and self-centered and brash, because Jupiter expands everything it touches. So you got air, you got Mars in Aries, and then you got Jupiter. So Mars in Aries is quite bold, quite courageous, quite forward. It takes action. It thinks that he's gonna conquer the world, and he's very self-confident. You add Jupiter to this fire, well, his Mars can actually become a little bit cocky. He's going to be even more determined, because Jupiter is expanding all of these aspects. But Jupiter also has kind of aspects that in the shadow side of Jupiter, you can have sides of arrogance, for example. You can have sides of thinking too much of himself and thinking he is the best, that he is on top of the world, and or that everyone needs to bow down to Jupiter. So it can add a little bit of this fire to Mars. From a mundane perspective, it can escalate fires, maybe even volcanoes, who knows. The volcanoes is also very connected to the earth plates. It can also escalate violence, and we have been hearing about a lot of violence in the past few days with shootings and things like that, and still the ongoing war. And so this is kind of more the negative side, but also it gives us impetus to fight for what we believe in, for what is right. And because these Jupiter and Mars are squaring Black Moon Lilith, and it's also squaring Ceres, there may be a stronger link with some kind of more shadowy stuff, kind of more of a lack of control, of a kind of more aggressive, not so much aggressive, but more giving into instincts to our shadow side, and even to be a little bit kind of stern in a way because of Ceres. Ceres can have an attitude that can be super abundant, or it can just give famine and strife. So Ceres could also be talking about this kind of food problems, issues that we've been hearing about, the food shortages, the food crisis. So it can also be connected to that. And from a mundane perspective, it's also connected to the food we get from the earth, the sustenance we get from the planet, and the crops. So it also has an effect on the weather. So again, we can see these extreme weathers happening as in some places, and giving this manifestation of fires or droughts or heat waves in some areas of the globe. And so for this moon in Gemini, is really good for you to, if you want to take advantage of this new moon in Gemini, it would be good for you to analyze your thought patterns, analyze how you think. Do you think positively or negatively? Do you feel that it helps you to think the way that you think? It's good that we are very honest with ourselves, so not being in this kind of mode where we repress our thinking because we only want to be always positive by force, but being naturally positive is a good practice, and is also a good way for us to see how these thoughts, the thought patterns we've been having, are affecting our life. Because if you are from the spiritual world, it's very well known that our thoughts create feelings, emotions, and create then our vibration, and this vibration then can attract things to us. And I had a very recent experience of that actually, where I was visualizing for something, and I was visualizing with a lot of emotion, with a lot of feeling, with a lot of heart. And I was completely detached from the outcome of this situation, if this visualization was going to manifest or not. I was fine if it didn't. I knew one day it would, but I didn't know when. And I was not expecting it to manifest so quickly, actually. And it actually manifested. And I kind of know the type of vibration that I put in is exactly the type of vibration of what I've attracted. And that was really connected to my thoughts, to my emotions, to my feelings. And I did this more as a test because I like to try things, and manifestation was not my forte. It's never been my forte. In fact, I used to struggle a lot with manifestation, but I had manifested things before. And in this case, the past few weeks, the past month, and it wasn't that much time, it was about a month and a half, that I was starting to really like, I made like this focus, and I focused on something, and I kept visualizing and feeling as if it had already happening, as if it was happening, and it happened. So I really believe in the power of manifestation. I just need to learn how to make it more consistently work for me. And so if you're watching this video, this is a good idea, maybe a practice where you can kind of practice visualizing something that you want to attract that is positive for you and positive for the people around yourself, meaning that you're not trying to cause harm to anyone. So you can kind of put your thoughts, your emotions, and especially analyze your thought patterns, because if you are at the same time nurturing thoughts that go against that, that's not going to be useful. But if you're nurturing thoughts that are in favor, that's going to aid to your manifestation through your thoughts, emotions, feelings, and everything else. And I'm going to keep doing this journey of visualization. And I don't want to say what it is because I don't like to talk about those things, but I'm kind of going to continue trying, and I might let you know, guys, how is it going for me, because I got a few ideas and things that I would love to manifest, but that's a bit of a challenge, so I'm really curious to see how that's going to go. And maybe in a few times, who knows, you will hear about it. Anyway, what I want to leave you with is, during this new moon in Gemini, take a best advantage to really consider your thought patterns, consider how you think, love attraction, what do you want to attract, how you want your thoughts to be working for you instead of against you, how can you attract the life that you want. And consider, if you are having thought patterns that don't work for you but work against you, how can you transform these thought patterns into something that is more positive, happy, more enlightened, more bright, more that works positively for you, that feeds you positive emotions, positive feelings, and consequently a positive reality to your life. And also, one very short thing I want to talk about is that sometimes we are so addicted to certain thought patterns that we don't even notice what we're doing. And one really good practice is to just allow things to be what they are without trying to put a label on it, without trying to kind of make something out of it, to give an interpretation to it, to explain what it is in your mind. Just allow things to be what they are, be where they are, and just sit with it, sitting with those things, with those ideas, with those thoughts, and just let it be. Let it be what it is. Don't try to make something in your mind that you're going to kind of then form a belief about from this, because sometimes best thing for the mind is silence, is quietness, and stillness. And that's what I wanted to leave you with, dear sinceres. I'll hopefully will be doing a very short ritual surrounding kind of these ideas. I don't know if it's going to be the next 1 or 2 days, but I hope it will be this week. Anyway, I wish you a lovely new moon in Gemini. Lots of stamina and strength to go for your goals and taking the best advantage of this Jupiter Mars conjunction. And I'll see you next time, dear sinceres. Don't forget to visit me at cynthiasincere.com if you want to have any readings with me. Also, you can check me out on Instagram, on Telegram, and YouTube. Well, you are on YouTube. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye.